Okay,
All right.
we are live. Immutable Destiny, speed of sound. We're gonna talk trash about
John
Christians.
Maddox,
Maddox.
and their just inane beliefs about God knows what.
Yeah, and how wrong he's got this mRNA stuff and so many other things. I mean, there's a whole bunch of pieces. Oh, it's midnight.
Hello.
Hello, midnight. Midnight spark. Oh, I love that icon. That's pretty cool. Are you there? I don't. Oh, you're muted. Unmute you.
He might be setting up his mic. So
banned from. Oh, I have the option of banned from studio.
Hello. There we go.
Yep. There you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for some fucking reason, my SteamYards always picks up my my video camera mic rather than my headset mic.
Oh, I gotta do some capture here just to see what's for.
Is he live right now? Shouldn't we wait until he's done being live and watch the? Because it's like, it's like if you're watching it now, you're, you know what I mean. You're like missing half the content.
Yeah. Oh, you mean, yeah. Well, no, we were just watching Smokey while we were waiting to go live. We just went live a minute ago. So the what did I name that Saturday night at the Atheist singular?
Yeah, I still have nightmares about the conversation I had with Smokey in his in his well, I'm joking obviously, but it was definitely annoying to have that conversation with Smokey in his under that one video. He never responded to the other one.
Oh, you sent me a link to that. I haven't seen that one. I have not seen it.
Yeah, you should see what I write. I will admit that some of my messages were poorly worded, but the last one I sent, the video was like, "Oh, well done."
I will compliment you when you do well. So
yeah. Well, Maddox is refusing to talk to me. Speed just talks trash because he's trying to goad me. Asshole, chicken.
I mean, okay, here's if I could just go on a rant really quick. Here's what really bothers me. Okay, Christians and these people who believe in God, we're trash talk atheists all the time, but then when you do it,
right?
When you try to trash talk, it's I hate the double standard.
Yeah, Maddox is so fucking offended because I called him a liar because he refused to put out these mRNA papers. And the reason he probably refused is because I got all the papers right in front of me right now. And you know what? Not a one of them supports a damn thing he's saying. The only possible thing is this this little illustration where basically they sort of with mRNA, they upset the phylogenetic tree with mice and elephants and humans. And they're still not sure about it, and there's a whole bunch of goings on. But I mean, there's nothing in these papers. The way Maddox talks about it, it's like, oh, mRNA disproves evolution.
How the fuck does mRNA disprove evolution?
Oh, because they're using mRNA because mRNAs are apparently highly conserved. They didn't think that they were. They didn't think that they dropped out.
Anything mRNA is for further evidence of evolution.
Yeah, in fact, the guy that he's quoting or going on is this Peterson, Kevin J. Peterson, and Kevin J. Peterson is using mRNA to prove a whole bunch of things about the Cambrian explosion and a bunch of other. I mean, he's got a bunch of theories, right, that are all pro-evolution, and every one of them. And
also, Smokey's. Look, I will admit my understanding of naturalism is a bit rusty because I haven't looked in for a while. But Smokey's understanding of naturalism is just,
yeah, it's pretty bad. Bad.
Smokey's understanding of chance is just. I thought Maddox was just dense, but dear God.
Smokey kind of worships this multiplying probabilities. I was trying to. The other day I was trying to get him to. I asked him. I said, "Do you exist?" Well, there's like when you look at how many eggs your mom has and how many sperms your dad rockets off in just one, particular instance, you end up with 1 in 10 to the 14th possibility that you got born, and you got born. So, I mean, it's like 1 in 10 to the 14th. That's how many possible siblings you have for every birth.
How many people you just killed? Congratulations.
Right. That many people died for you, just so you got to be, which is pretty amazing. But
I mean, okay, like I feel like that could be used as a way to guilt people. It's like maybe I didn't hear the whole thing, but it's like, like many people died for you. You should be. I'm like,
no.
Well,
Smokey was going on about how improbable it is that that evolution or abiogenesis could happen. So what I was going to point out to him, and then we got sidetracked, was that it is so improbable that you got picked out of the 10 to 14 possible combinations of eggs and sperm in just one
kind of
mommy daddy
was reminded
instance.
of this tonight watching it again on Maddox's stream.
Shit, what happened?
Something interesting.
I turned it on. I turned it on.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well,
yeah, let's just watch.
Supporting my position.
Let's just watch this. Forget about commenting it. Let's just record it in case Smokey takes it off air. All right, keep playing.
I'll try. Okay, let's see. We're let me go up here and grab the comments. Speed of Sound, we're all ears. Speed of Sound, I invited you to a stream tonight. Where are we? I don't know. So this is gonna be some duplicates here.
Look, here's something. Even if you were to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the biogenesis can happen, it can be recreated in a lab. They would say, "Oh well, that just shows it takes intelligence," which that one guy did say. We're able to create our own molecules. Therefore, I'm like, just because we can do it, that doesn't mean nature didn't do it better.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, since we created in a lab and intelligent agents are responsible for their creation, that means an intelligent designer must have designed the universe. Ha ha!
Like I love that, guys. I love they did that the gotcha. Oh, that's a gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, I'm like,
gotcha.
Sure.
Like, wow, if I could just change a few words in your argument to make it just so obvious how you sound right now.
Yeah, right.
Oh man. It'd be beautiful, but I rest my case.
We got some good stuff here. This is from a Q&A stream they did. Debate reviews, rants, and who knows what else. This is the one where they went on for 4 hours about the last 2 hours about feminism.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh God. Feminism is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out.
Just wait till we hear Jesse's understanding of biology, because that's.
Yeah, I think this is pretty far into the video, but Shadow Dancer Jesse. I think JP Bird. We should listen to this first.
Would survive. There'd be cascade failures like in a system. Sorry, George. Go ahead.
I was just going to add. Have you guys ever? I'm a bird fancier, and I've bred a number of different species of birds, but I'm amazed at the nest building ability of some of these birds. I've watched swallows where they actually collect the right constituent of mud or clay with the right water content in it to make it stick to the surface.
Oh yes, blah blah blah. Birds are cool. They build great nests.
And there are examples of even more intricate designs of some of the African birds where they hang off. Look at these birds learn these techniques because after they're weaned.
Okay, so Jessie is about to explain her dog howling theory of evolution. I think.
The following year, they build a nest of their own. So no one's really taught them that skill.
What's that?
You said her dog holy? I missed.
Dog howling. Her dog howling theory. I'm trying. Let's see if we can figure out what the hell is going on in this woman's mind.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Oh,
That's a great point, actually. I mean, it just goes to show how much design is in nature and all the things that these animals can do without their
we're
parents.
not even there yet.
You know, I mean,
We're
you
close.
just look at dogs and just see some of their like natural instincts and all that kind of stuff. And well, they didn't learn it. What if you get a puppy? It gets separated from its mom at like, what is it, like 8 weeks to 16 weeks or something like that? You know, they still act like a dog. They're no different. Like I was
Of course.
oh my God!
Of course
Like,
they.
they-
Oh my! It's called instincts. They
they
just. Oh, I give up.
act like a dog. I mean, isn't that amazing that without their mom to teach them how to be a dog, they act like a dog?
Well, I mean, to be
really
hold on, if you can pause. To be fair to her, there have been some animals who act, who have acted like other animals when they were raised by them. I think there was a cat that was raised by penguins and it could stand up on,
Oh, yeah.
on its hind legs, like you know what I mean. If a kitten is raised with dogs, the kitten will take it to dog, like you know what I mean. Like
But-
if an animal of one species is raised with, with another, they tend to pick up, the traits of that animal.
She's going to make a claim here for dog howling being intelligently designed.
Yeah.
video of a baby husky that was howling. Well, it was adopted before its mother could actually teach it to howl
But how do you?
because it was
just
like 8 weeks old. How did it learn to howl?
Stop.
Oh, this is precious.
Stop. I want to talk to this woman one of these days because it's
Oh,
just like
fuck yeah.
what?
And she's a historian. Her professors.
Oh yeah.
just love her.
Hold on. So she's a historian, but she thinks, okay, look. If you're a historian, you want to talk about biology, okay? Just learn biology. But like,
Have you heard of her theories about history?
So she's not a good historian, okay?
Yeah, it's about how men had such skills, and oh my God, she goes on and on. It's in here somewhere. We'll get to it, but let's.
Her whole we're losing technology thing.
We're what?
Like the technology we have is more degraded than it was
Yeah,
during the time of Adam and Eve.
yeah, and the reason we haven't found any archaeological evidence is because construction people don't leave their tools at the site, so they took their tools away and they hid them. But we've never found them because
dude, I'm done. Okay, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here and just save my brain cells because
no.
you guys are fucking kings right here, just staying in here. Just how do you not feel dumber after watching these people? I'm sorry.
Oh my God, I actually fell asleep to this one. I was listening to him rant about feminism, and then I finally fell asleep, and I had some kind of nightmare. I'm not sure what it was. It's like. They were talking about how the feminists are leading to transgender acceptance, something like that. It's like, oh my God,
dude. Honestly, you know what? I just want to be happy with my boyfriend. I don't give a shit about anything. Fuck you.
They're trying to save you, damn midnight. They're trying to save your soul.
Yeah, well, they can try. There is no soul to save. There you go.
They can.
Albinos don't have souls.
They can take a flying buck at a rolling donut. My favorite expression.
See, albinos and gingers don't have souls. So.
Oh, that's right. I heard that.
It's true.
Yeah.
It was uttered once upon a time, so it must be true. So
it has been uttered. Okay, you want to listen to this?
Okay. Oh, come on, Jesse.
Yeah.
Let's get through
This
this.
is a natural instinct that is born into them based on all the information that God put into them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't cats howl?
Just take a moment to digest that, Jesse.
Okay, wait a minute. Did you hear? Okay,
Yeah,
listen again.
no, I know. I heard her. Why don't cats
Information
have
that
it?
God put into
Okay, listen to this very clearly.
them. And why don't cats howl?
Why don't cats howl? If evolution was true, cats would howl, right?
Dude, you can't make this shit up.
No.
You just can't. And you know what? I thought I was retarded, but no.
Oh, Jesse.
She is so brilliant.
I mean, come on, immutable. You and I have had many conversations these past 3 years. If I ever said anything close to what she said, I've had crazy. Here you go.
No, that hasn't got that bad yet. Jesus fuck.
Oh yes. Fuck you.
Oh my! Oh, I lost my stream. I lost it. There it is. Okay, I think it gets better. I don't know.
It gets better. Better.
It
Even
gets
worse.
better.
It's me
getting
thinking
worse.
about
Here we go.
as if genetics doesn't have to be precise enough already, just regarding proteins and directing the proteins to do what they need to do. Imagine how precise it has to be for genetics to be the source of the intelligence in the mind, because there's such a precision to the mind of the animal.
What? I just
Okay.
in the mind that oh, dude, I know. I know I suck at speaking, but I would hope I'm a little more tangible or coherent than that.
Yep. Orders of magnitude.
Look, if you're going to pay lip service to Maddox, please take more lessons from him. Because at least when Maddox tries to sound intelligent, he makes himself look like an ass. But when you do it, you just make yourself look like an ass and don't sound intelligent. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, hold on. Wait, I make myself. Okay, repeat that again. I make myself look like an ass. I'm confused. What?
Take more lessons from Maddox, because at least when Maddox tries to sound intelligent, Maddox tries to sound intelligent but makes himself look like an ass. But this guy just sounds like an ass.
Oh, Nicholas. Oh, that's Nicholas. Yeah, he's
okay.
the guy.
Me and him had a respectful conversation, but I'm sorry, my guy, you cannot do science.
Yeah. No,
neither can you. Have you created life in your lab? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Nicholas Proclaimer of the Messiah just expressed an interest and asked a couple intelligent questions on Smokey's stream about the hangout I had with SFT about alleles, and he is truly curious and he wants to know, and I offered to lay it out for him, and I'm hoping.
Why don't you let him in here?
I asked them, and I don't think they responded, so I haven't looked at the Smokey stream. So I haven't been watching the chat, so I don't know. But yeah, I would sit down and we could draw it out, and I could explain to him why the created heterozygosity that SFT was talking about just doesn't work. SFT thinks somehow the entire genome gets jumbled around and ends up creating at one locus would create more than 4 alleles. And I don't know why he believes that. I don't know what's wrong in his thinking, but we could straighten him out with a pencil and a couple of lines,
Michael, being a former drug addict, how much do you have to take to get to this level of just intellectual savant?
I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. I quit early, so I only used for about 40 years. So apparently longer than that. I don't know. Well, apparently God didn't design them to have an understanding of anything to do with science. So, according to Jesse here, it's all in God's design, and God must have missed a few beats. He probably, taught them to howl, but he missed the part about science. God didn't design that into him. So, but anyway, Nicholas was pretty honest about it, and he's always been pretty cordial with me. But Shadow Dancer and the Maddox, logical, plausible, and probable. Mr. Beta Boy, I like to call him Beta Boy.
Careful, Speed. He could be watching this. And he will sue your ass for.
Oh, he's gonna sue me. Yeah,
whatever. Libel, whatever. You get the point.
I can see him bring his case to court. Somebody called me Beta Boy on YouTube.
And then and then the judge will laugh in his face and be like, "Son, you wasted so much money and the time, the court's time. Get the fuck out of here before I send you to jail."
What are you, a beta? Anyway, okay. I don't know.
Animal that's inborn, and there must be some exponential greater level of precision required in the genetics for the mind to go that direction.
Oh my God!
Okay. I want to I want to defend this guy a little bit because it was back in like 2000. I was reading evolutionary biology or evolutionary psychology, and they were talking about natural instincts and, you know, things being instinctual. And one of the instincts was that men in 35 different cultures prefer a 0.7 waist to hip ratio in women. And I wanted to find out, he's asking an honest question or wondering at how genetics creates a mind to have instinct. And that's actually a pretty intelligent question, and it is, you know, it is a very devious subject.
Yeah, having been around this community much, I can tell you that not a lot of people have a love of evolutionary psychology, which with good reason, obviously. But you know what I mean. There are some sections of evolutionary biology that I find interesting,
or like, evolutionary psychology or biology.
No, evolutionary psychology. You know what I mean? Evo psych. It doesn't have the best reputation.
No,
at all.
No, and they've Tubi and Cosmides kind of went over the top with it, and you know, it became like a popular kind of a pop book thing.
Well, and it's not even just that. Like evolutionary psychology and psychology in general is just people.
That's actually a great point. I mean, think about how much we can.
Just those stories. The thing is that they really screwed up. They got bad press, but it was one of the most important things that we can study. Basically, how our psychology is related to.
Oh yeah, like I know, definitely, I agree with you because I was reading this one interesting book that you should probably pick up called The Curiosity Gene, and you know the title's a bit misleading, but you know it's definitely interesting. You know, it tries to trace back the evolution of us, of our curiosity and how curiosity may have emerged actually, as a mechanism, during times of conflict, intra-species conflict. You know what I mean? Because when you think about it, many advances are done usually during a time of war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that makes sense. That makes sense. That over time, preparing for the next conflict. We're actually read the book.
I just bought it.
Good. Trust me. Let me know what you think. It's definitely worth a read.
Will do. Okay, let's listen to it. You want to hear some more brilliance?
Honey, I'm done. My brain cells are fucking screaming in pain. Okay, I need to read. I need to read like 3 chapters of the book I'm reading. Lifespan, why we age and why we don't have to. To gain those back. Jesus fucking Christ!
That one. Also,
it's an interesting book about David Sinclair. Like I met the chapter where he talks about the possibility of overpopulation. Like he's a good author. Just some of the things he said, like, we need to fight. We need to fight global patriarchy. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I'm like, okay, dude, just stick to science because some things.
Okay, Midnight, we have to help you. You have to develop calluses on your brain, and the only way to do that is to listen to the rest of what Jesse has to say.
Oh, dude. You know what? If one day I wind up getting Alzheimer's because of videos, I will come back to fucking haunt you. I don't give a fuck if I can't remember anything. I'll write that shit down. Okay?
Hey.
I'll make sure to remember that.
Sorry, son, you're not going to remember who I am or where I live.
Oh, write it down. There you go. Go ahead. Play the goddamn video. I'm getting a headache.
Train these animals, No, they will never, ever get to the level of humans. Never. We've never seen it.
Never.
And yet they still have a level of intelligence.
Wait, hold on.
Shows.
Okay. You've never seen. Okay, fine, fair enough. But Look, there are, I think our closest cousins are like chimpanzees who basically have everything we have, but for some reason their brain isn't big enough to actually allow for language. So if you could teach teach a monkey to speak, there you go. I mean, and I'm not talking about sign language. You know what I mean? Because there are people that say, well, Coco doesn't really understand what she's saying. Therefore that's not a sign of that's not intelligence. She's not making. Which, okay, you could say that, but Coco is obviously, you know what I mean?
But wait a minute now. She said that God designed kittens to meow and dogs to howl. So God designed humans to have language and to have this level of intelligence. And obviously God designed chimpanzees to have a different kind of intelligence. There's something interesting about primates. If you look at the brain, there's something called the fourth ventricle, and there's a circuit. It sort of like goes into the center of your brain in something called the basal ganglia, and it goes out to the cortex and it loops around. And these loops have sort of a feedback mechanism, right? And they allow you to decide how to walk, like when to take a step or make decisions, things like that.
So the brain is biological computer. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's something interesting about human beings. Human beings have a strong swelling in the front part of that fourth ventricle, where you can see more material has basically been genetically constructed, and it creates an extra cortical loop or two. And they think that people with higher intelligence actually have a more finely developed connection between this basal ganglia and the frontal lobe, and it loops back. But you can see that it swells into this ventricle. It actually, and in other primates,
clearly that's not true of anyone in the panel.
No,
in the video.
No,
Oh Lord!
I'm guessing if we looked at the fourth ventricle on some of these people here, that we would find no swelling at all. So I'm worried.
Well, good to know. Good to know. Swelling means you're smart. There you go. So now, I don't know. I'm just fucking around. But
if your brain is swollen, you're smart. Okay, just
I have always felt my brain. I don't know. It's weird. It's like bigger, sometimes smaller. I don't know. It's very weird.
Sometimes it feels swollen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, Grandpa's speed of sound explained it to you. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, why couldn't I have you as a fucking grandpa rather than the ones I got? Like, holy shit.
Oh, you should have seen my grandpa. Man, he was a piece of work. Yeah, I don't think he ever said a word to me. He just used to sit and recite the Bible in Hebrew and hum all the time. And that was all he did. He went, and then he'd go more Hebrew. And he had this Hebrew Bible that was all loose leaves. Or no, it was written in Serbian.
I'll be honest. I can't really help but think. I think about all those books you have in your house. I have dreams about that. So many books.
I just sent.
Somebody's envious.
I just sent
Sherlock.
I just sent immutable pictures of my calculus section to fuck with them.
I know. He has so many fucking books on it. It's like, okay, why?
Hey, I have 4 or 5 more photos of just my chemistry section.
Oh my god. I'm
Yeah, you guys ought to come see me sometime.
Yeah, well, I'm broke, so maybe Immutable can drive there.
Hitchhiking's
maybe
still a thing. So
well, true, but I don't feel like getting killed, and I don't feel like having my organs harvested.
They might mistake midnight for an alien.
I have some stories about that from the 60s.
Is that what happened to you? Is that what you're going to tell me?
I started hitchhiking to Haight-Ashbury during the summer of love, and I made it as far as Montana, and I had some very interesting encounters. But I ended up, I was so in love with a girl that I ended up turning around. So I never made it to fucking Haight-Ashbury. You know what Haight-Ashbury is, right?
No.
Okay, Haight-Ashbury is an intersection by the Golden Gate Park. Every time you see movies about hippies, there's like millions of them milling around. That's where it happened. Haight-Ashbury in 1967 and 8. I made a trip out there, and that was where I started smoking. That was where I learned how to smoke because I was in love, and because I wanted to smoke marijuana. That's why I started smoking cigarettes. So in my case, marijuana led to cigarettes.
What?
That's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, no, there is that whole argument, that's still going around. Marijuana is a gateway drug. Okay, to what?
In my case, it was a gateway to smoking pell-mells, smoking cigarettes. Because the night before I left for Haight-Ashbury, I had my first wife to be. We were teenagers. She was 17, I was 16, and she seductively taught me how to inhale cigarette smoke with pell-mell cigarettes. And because I wanted to go to Haight-Ashbury and I didn't know how to inhale, because I knew there was going to be marijuana out there. So when I was down, it's a long story. I have a story that I wrote. It's online somewhere called "The Evils of Thinking About Smoking Marijuana." I'll have to write it again and get it to you guys. It's a pretty interesting story.
Oh, standing for in the live chat. Hello, standing. It's been a while.
Oh, our chat?
Yes.
Hey, Standing, get on here. We haven't talked in a while yet, buddy.
Oh, buddy, oh, pal. I love, let's quote it that way.
Do we get him in here?
Yes.
If he's in.
I'll send him an invite. Where is, okay, Gmail, and, okay. I will do that. I invited John here. I invited John Maddox tonight, and he's not showing up. I'm just like crushed. I am crushed that John is not showing up.
I think Maddox might be a little bit mad at you.
Why?
I don't know.
I thanked him for the papers. I mean, I thought I pulled the lies John Maddox down off the internet site or my YouTube site.
I still think that was soft.
Huh? You don't think it's resolved between us?
No, because Maddox doesn't deserve resolves.
He doesn't do resolve. I think maybe Standing for Truth left. I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, he's always fun. Oh, I'm going to play a little more. We never get very far.
He's an intelligent designer. Actually, even plants, if you look at plants, and they're very innate. They don't have consciousness or anything like that. And
no, they don't.
Yet they still have a level of intelligence, so to speak, And
comparatively,
it's quite amazing.
Some of the components inside of plants are, just like so many aspects of biology in general, but the precision measuring devices, for example, that exist inside of plants, and the components that enable the automated processes to occur.
Okay, what the? Will somebody teach this guy how to fucking speak a sentence?
To me, what gets me about the whole, are they conscious? Are they not conscious? All these different pieces. I'm like, okay, you idiot.
Wait a minute. Who the fuck's worried about plants being conscious exactly? Is that what he said?
Yep. Just wait till you hear what he says next.
If you walked into a fully automated factory and we're like, wow, look at all these cool, robot arms. They're doing all this cool stuff and ending up and creating this product, right? You would never, ever
in any other context
that came into existence without probably a boatload of very smart people working in synchronicity to be able to devise all of the different parts
but it doesn't
that are
work. It's like, I give up.
Maddox, number one, that's begging the question. Number two, that's fallacy of composition. Because in the premise, we know it's designed already. You don't need to convince us.
Yeah.
But under your other assumption, though, which is that under any other mechanism, which means that if there was another mechanism that did exist, then you wouldn't require the intelligent design hypothesis. Congratulations. You just destroyed your own opinion in like 5 seconds.
And also, to me it baffles me. Why a god can't exist, but he used abiogenesis to have evolution happen. So you could say, life was designed. Like, you know what I mean? There's a way to frame this that doesn't exclude the possibility of a god existing. You know what I mean? Now, whether it's the Christian God, well, that's due to how contradictory he is, and like you could go to. Look, I'm willing to add that a God exists. As long as you're willing to say that he could have used abiogenesis and evolution to get us where we are. There you go.
I mean, for me, you're saying, okay, if God did do these things, to make life, he's such an intelligent designer. I don't know about you, but doing research personally and trying to design crap, you want that fucker to be as simple as possible. You don't want complexity. Like, you don't want racemization to occur within a chemical synthesis.
Right.
You don't want multiple products trying to form at the same time. If anything, simplicity is the hallmark of design.
If you've ever seen the mTOR pathway, you would be frightened.
I can't really know. Leonardo, I don't know if this is an actual quote he said, but Leonardo da Vinci once said, "Simplicity is the highest form of sophistication."
Yeah. Highly simple systems can build complex ones. But, for the love of God, anybody that studied Origin of Life for like 5 seconds understand it's horribly complicated.
Well, yeah, it is. It is complicated, but that complication arose out of simple parts. All that. Let me qualify here, because even quote unquote simple molecules are complex, as immutable. Even simple ones.
Oh yeah, even simple compounds like acetone or acetaldehyde, they're complicated little structures, especially if you try to analyze them by quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
They're unbelievably difficult to kind of get a measure of unless you're using with computer software of some kind.
Oh my God, Maddox is on Smokey's channel.
But
he was on before.
I wonder what he's saying.
But the other thing is, though, that if your God had a choice in how to design these things, why did he make it so goddamn complicated?
And so ridiculously inefficient.
Well, being complicated is a sign of intelligence, didn't you know?
Oh yeah. It's God, so I guess that's
okay. An intelligent designer. Okay, the word intelligence is so loaded that it's like, what is intelligence? You know what I mean? People in psychology still don't know how to fucking define intelligence.
You could argue that viruses of all things are intelligent.
In a way, I suppose they are, because they've evolved as a way to hijack other organisms. So it's like, that's pretty intelligent. It's like,
but not just this, though. Like most organisms, like this whole COVID virus, for instance, one of the reasons it's running rampant isn't because COVID viruses are deadly. It's because it's been introduced to a new species. It just jumped over into humans, and it hasn't been around long enough for it to evolve to its host. Because most viruses, when they become species specific, as long as they're not trying to kill the organism, usually
are there like 10 strains of this fucking virus? It's evolving rapidly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like hundreds of them. But usually, like with kinds of viruses that are species specific, they don't end up harming their host. And typically,
for some reason, we went into humans. It's like, ooh, fresh meat, and then it evolved from there. But I know COVID-19 is part of a family of COVID. But I'm talking about from what I've seen, this was a while ago. There were 8 strains of COVID-19 alone. Like I don't know if that number is tripled, but just purely of COVID-19 strains. I could be wrong. Could be mistaken.
No, but here's the interesting thing. Like, of all species that exist, and if you consider viruses to be subtypes of species, which rightfully in a sense they are, every species on Earth that has existed and that has likely been existed as predicted by fossil record findings, there are probably 10 times the number of species of viruses for any given particular species.
Well, yeah, and also don't forget the many viruses that are dead within our own DNA.
Yeah, I mean, there's viruses
which honestly, when you think about that, it's kind of strange, kind of frightening in a way. Okay, so what is these viruses going to activate one day?
Oh my God! Over here on Smokey's channel, Basement Dweller, that Crystal Nacht or whatever in Germany, where they broke, where they attacked the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is comparing pulling down the statues to that.
Oh my fucking God! No.
Okay. No. I'm against pulling down the statues, but even I know that's a retarded argument.
Crystal Knight, yeah, I'm against pulling down statues too because I like statues. But anyway, somebody suggested that they're going to start pulling down Jesus statues, and I thought, yeah, if I can fucking get behind that.
No. See, I'm against that also. As much as I dislike religion, I just leave them off. What the fuck did they ever do to you?
Here's another interesting thing. Oh, Speed, you haven't seen this you haven't heard this yet from Smokey. But Smokey thinks somehow that atheists are just waiting for the right time to, number one, like tear down like all forms like of Christianity, like Bibles, statues, things like that. But also, that's not enough for atheists, apparently.
The worst case of persecution complex I've ever heard.
Yeah, he thinks we're going to kill them and attack them and all that. And,
he thinks atheists want to essentially genocide essentially want to genocide Christians off of the planet.
All we want them to do.
Oh well, Stalin, Mao, and Lenin, persecuted Christians. Communism persecuted everybody. For fuck's sake.
All we want them to do is shut the fuck up about science and quit pretending that they're doing science, and that 90% of the scientists are in some conspiracy against them because 99% of the scientists just want to sin. It's like
I have a second related question.
Yeah.
Can Maddox say any statement without chuckling or just uncontrollably laughing before saying it?
He's got a style of speech that is kind of driving me crazy, where he sort of pulls out these words. I know what it is. It's pseudo intellectual.
Oh,
we used to really roast them back in the 60s. They'd come on with this so they were using all these fucking words that made them sound intelligent, but they had nothing intelligent to say.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And I can't believe Basement Dweller is comparing what happened in Nazi Germany to pulling down statues. And
what did he say exactly? I'm so fucking lost.
He said, where the hell was it? Crystal Knight was based on the same thing as what is happening with these statues. Same ideology, same ignorant stupidity.
Oh, that no. That is nowhere near the same thing. I'm of German ancestry, and trust me.
Yeah.
No.
No, it was a
German ancestry. No wonder I don't like you. Joking. That was bad.
There was some dark shit going on back then, man. And I'm not sure who said it, but somebody in this thread said, what is it? Instead of Black Lives Matter, it's Babies Lives Matter. Anti-abortion or whatever. It's just you know what? We've gotten through 3 minutes of this fucking video, and this video is 4 hours long. So at this rate, the heat death of the universe.
Honestly, just stop it. Just stop the video.
Well, let's go on. This is getting fun.
I think Maddox is talking now. He's making.
I'm going to hurt you one day, Immutable. I'll get you back. Okay.
Okay, I want you to listen to Maddox pseudo-intellectual linguistics.
I mean, that's all he does.
Able to execute this process.
Execute.
And to me, when you look at all those pieces that are happening in biology, I'm like, okay, let's take this from the micro to the macro level. and you would be staring at the most complicated machinery you have ever seen if you took it from molecular size to a macro one that you can truly visualize. And
John,
ignore that. So, sorry, George, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, imagine this simple seed. What tells the roots to grow down and the stem to grow up?
The environment,
Just another fucking nugget, man.
Holy crap.
Well, I don't know what does that. It's like intelligence, man. It's like,
that be genetics, you fucking twat, which responds to the environment. Holy shit.
yeah.
Boy, I wonder, is it God whispering into the roots?
He's whispering, go down. Okay, don't howl, don't meow, grow downward.
Dear God.
Genes tell you to do that. And God sent his entire message. He put it in those little genes, I mean, it's so clever the way he did it.
I complain about these people being idiots, but holy shit.
Just pseudo-intellectuals or wannabes.
Honestly, I feel like calling them idiots is an insult to idiots.
Gravity is downward.
Oh,
I did.
I don't know if you heard me.
That was a mistake. I did. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're marring. You're being mean to people that have lesser intelligence. I mean, there are a lot of people that different capabilities intellectually that are just really, really good people. They know these guys. They're ignorant, and they're willfully ignorant, and they're arrogant at the same time, which makes them idiots. That's what an idiot is. Yeah, there are a lot of people that are ignorant that have lesser intellectual capabilities, and they have different skills, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're a wide and varied race, but these assholes are above their pay grade.
The issue with these people, the issue with every single creationist I have dealt with, is that not the fact that they're ignorant. Everybody's ignorant. I don't know crap all about, astrophysics and cosmology and certain things. I know certain talking points, and I know enough to get my way around it. But I'm not doing research on it. I haven't studied, stellar physics to understand, the life cycle of stars and how those things form and things like that. Are you crazy? I mean, people. What? Oh, shit. People people spend their lives doing research on this kind of crap. Like, it's. But the thing is, like, people like Maddox, for instance, it's not just the fact that, oh, I don't know. It's no, I don't know. I'm happy not knowing. But not just that. I know that you don't know, and I know that the people saying this thing are wrong, and they actually support my position.
Yeah.
And it's just the level of cognitive, cockiness and just dissonance in general you must have to vouch that kind of position. It's appalling.
And he's getting a following at his feet, which is the same as who's that crazy church? All the crazy culty churches that you've seen, these guys have this following that eats up every word, and they talk about them like they're scientists or they're geniuses, and like Raw Matt standing for truth, particularly Raw Matt and this guy, Mad Ox. They're basically they're being revered as knowing what they're talking about, and they don't.
Okay, Speed. I actually found a meme that sort of applies to this. If you want to, here we go. I'll give you the link. If you want to share, if you want to screen share it for a minute. It's not nudity. Don't worry. It's just I thought it was pertinent to what we're having.
Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can do that. I wonder if I could. Yeah, I think I can do it this way. Ever since man, let's see if I can blow that up a little.
Ever since man has left his cave and met a stranger with a different language and a new way of looking at things, the human race has had a dream to kill him so we don't have to learn his language and a new way of looking at things. You know what? I thought it appropriate with who we're dealing with. Granted, it's a little dark with the
Pretty
whole
cool.
killing thing, but
Yep. So Andrew might be coming in. He sent me an email.
That's a great
Okay.
point, actually. I mean, it.
Whoops. Oh, great point. Jesse's going to go on. I wonder if there's any other goodies here. Oh, there's a part about SOS in here. I don't know. What was this?
Weren't we listening to this crap, or wait, was that the same video?
Same video. Yeah. This
Were
is
you talking about going into a factory or something?
I went way ahead down here to this is as far as my bookmarking got. So I mean, this whole area out here that you see, I mean, this is like wonderful unexplored territory. God knows what they say out here. I mean, they could say anything, you know.
Just
But I mean,
dive into the sea of quantum foam
yes.
and see what pops up.
They complain about Aaron Ra. They complain about RJ. Oh, the RJ part's kind of cool. Here's what I love about Maddox.
None of the logic that was being outlined can have any bearing to whether or not evolution is true, for example. And the thing that really fascinates me more than anything about this whole, and to quote the one and only R.J. Downard,
Oh gosh.
I'm going to need you to give me the technical literature of your quotes, which is your source. But
okay, why is he talking like this? He's just pissing me off.
He's imitating RJ. He's imitating RJ.
Here's another thing, Maddox. It's you've given us your sources. Congratulations. Do you want a cookie?
Finally.
But the other issue is that, okay, if you are like this maniacal genius who is always intending to give us your papers, and when we asked you earlier, you were just like, oh, go look at the paper, man.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
It's just like, okay. So help me understand, like, the public appeal to this, right? So is making yourself retarded, like, attractive to an audience, or what's going on there? I mean, if you're going to have that on your about page the whole time, just say, oh yeah, if you need to look at the technical lit, it's in the about section of my video. There's a Google Drive folder. It's yours. It's not that complicated. But you make it so much more.
Stop lying to the boy. It's very complicated. That's why it intimidates him.
Oh, I can't do that.
You remind me of like that girl in high school who just can't have the conversation not revolve around her.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just,
or like that president.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Just,
yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. Okay, Maddox's position is he read the paper. I mean, obviously, in any other context, it couldn't mean anything else. I mean, Maddox is such a fucking genius that we don't have to read the paper. He's going to tell us what it says, like mRNA. And so I have him sitting right here, 5 fucking papers. Not one of them says anything like what he is claiming. So he is completely wrong, but he insists that he knows. I mean, it is so obvious to him, having read the abstract and God knows what else he reads in the paper. He must read the white part in between the black words because what he comes up with has nothing to do with the paper. He's driving me fucking crazy.
Okay, he must be reading like the way a kindergartner learns how to read.
I think
because
so.
Honestly,
that's an insult to kindergartners. Holy shit!
Oh yeah, we're being tough on kindergarten.
I didn't because they're illiterate. Yeah. So, I mean, this guy, unfortunately.
Well, actually, no. I've actually, you know, as colloquial, as anecdotal as there is, I do know a one kindergartner who was smart for his age at 4. So there are outliers.
There are, but we're going general.
Yep.
I will happily make a generalization fallacy in order to blast Maddox on this point. If Maddox needs to read with a microscope to understand these papers, that's fine. But please understand that when you're presenting an argument from authority, it's not always fallacious. The way it isn't fallacious is when you're actually representing the point of the paper.
Right.
This isn't complicated, but you make it seem like people are persecuting you and people are just trying to piss you off for something that takes literally 5 seconds.
So
It doesn't take 5 seconds to read a paper unless you were talking about someone else.
No, not to read it, to give the source for it.
Oh, yeah, true.
So I want to put a challenge out to Maddox or any of his followers that you take any one of these damn papers and you take the claim that he made on them, and we will go over the paper on the screen live, and we will see exactly what the paper says, and you can all tell me how in the fuck it supports what he's saying about him. I mean, one of these.
It just does. It supports everything I said. It just does. Don't question my authority.
Yeah. It's just like my authority. You remember the South Park episode with that? Speaking of South Park, Andrew might be coming into the chat, and we got to tone it down a little bit if he does. I think.
Yeah, this video is going to get taken down.
I'll leave because I may not be able to help myself in cursing or whatever, so I'll just leave.
Yeah. Well, you guys were using some curse words that I have a problem with. You were saying "if God exists."
Oh,
you can't say that shit on my channel, okay? you can't even.
She does.
I mean, you're gonna get me banned. You're gonna get me demonetized if you say that crap.
Assuming God exists because of ontological necessity, then I guess I have no choice.
Moving on. Okay, what else we got here? Oh yeah. Oh, I love the way he says this.
And to me, it's like, okay, I am reading a paper. I am being able to comprehend what is being presented.
That's also a lie.
Just because I come to a different conclusion on what this means from the big picture.
Well, hold on a second.
Has zero relevance. And to me, it's like, okay.
Wait. So hold on. So I correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he giving a Kent Hovind argument? Well, we could both see the same. We could both see the same evidence,
right?
But come to different conclusions.
Yep. We're looking at the same evidence. Conclusions.
Sure. If you want to go postmodernism.
Wait a minute. They talk about fucking relativism, with morals. Now, isn't that a relativistic argument? If you've ever heard one, however I view it,
No. See, moral. See, here's the thing. Only morals are subjective. Truth is relative. Which there's an argument to be made for that, but you know what I mean.
Not a very good one.
Well, there's philosophy, but that's a whole rabbit hole.
Okay, we won't go there. We should have a live hangout where I explain my argument for naturalism and see what you guys think. Of course, I don't know if you criticize me, I'm gonna like, fuck. I'm gonna pull a Maddox on you. No, I won't. Anyway, okay, so read the paper. What else did he say about the paper?
I am reading a paper. I am being able to comprehend what is being presented. Just because I come to a different conclusion on what this means from the big picture has zero relevance to whether or not I am agreeing or disagreeing with the evidence that's being presented.
That's not the fucking point.
What does that mean? The evidence that papers have evidence in them. They're not open to a whole lot of interpretation. I don't know.
Please, dear God, help me. That's not the point, Maddox. That has never been the point of this argument. The point of the argument isn't that you're coming to a different conclusion. It's the fact that the way you're coming to a conclusion, it's not based upon personal conjecture. That sure as hell ain't happening. It's not based upon things that you have talked with other people about. Because let's be honest, you're an Uber driver. You have some antisocial personality disorders.
Script kiddie programmer wannabe.
He's an Uber driver and a programmer.
He's a programmer wannabe.
And he's a ginger. So I mean, hey, triple whammy.
Wait, is he actually? I mean, I saw him on camera. He doesn't look like a ginger. He just looks like a guy with dark hair.
He's a redhead.
Or dark hair, I should say. I can't use the B word anymore.
No, his beard is red.
No.
No, you can use the B word. Well, okay, not that B word, but
the point more so is that it's not the conclusions you're making that are under fire here. It's the fact that the conclusions you're making and the way you're trying to structure your argument are disingenuous, because what you are saying, what you are trying to draw from the paper, can't be drawn.
Yeah.
You can't be honest with the audience and say, I read this paper, and this is the conclusion that they're trying to draw.
He read this paper, and this is the conclusion that he had when he started out. I mean, his whole spiel. This is a real subject change, but he's got a news report: 43,000 new cases in a single day of COVID. Oh, I said COVID. I'll get demonetized. In a single day.
Jesus.
That is the absolute record number of cases per day.
I'm not saying COVID doesn't exist or not or something, but I also wonder if whether the numbers aren't inflated in a way. You know what I mean?
About that, I doubt they are. Why would they do that, or how would they do that? I mean, testing may be getting better, and I'm sure it is. But I mean, we have gone up dramatically in a couple of different states, and something bad is going on. And I am not leaving the damn house.
You're not leaving the damn house?
Not leaving the damn house. I got the mail the other day, and I came in and I was washing my hands, and my sons were standing around talking. And then I washed my face, and they were like, "What? What are you doing?" It's like, I ain't getting this shit.
Well,
die of that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things I could die of. I don't want to die of that. Like, holy shit. Let's see what he's saying about the paper.
All allowed to have our own opinion about the interpretation of what it means in a different context or in relation to a bigger data set.
Picture.
And it's like,
we're never going to get through one. I mean, his section is going to run on for about 5 minutes. You know?
That's a valid point, but there's one thing that defeats it. Maddox, what are your two arguing points? One of them is the fact that ribosomal pausing exists, and that this poses an issue for evolution. The other point is that abiogenesis requires the ribosome to occur, and protein synthesis has to happen in some form, and that it only can occur prebiotically or otherwise by means of the ribosome. So, in actuality, you're not actually raising two different arguments. You're raising the same two arguments for the exact same topic. So, the interpretation you're applying here isn't any different. It's the exact same. The topic is the exact same. You are a one-trick pony.
Yep. Yeah, that's what he did with Doc. And I did a 1 hour thing on that, and I went through every bit of what his interchange with Doc, and the whole time, every time he asked Doc a question about abiogenesis, Maddox would start talking about something entirely different, and Doc was saying, "What's the question? What's the question?" And then they claim that Doc apologized to him because over this, being able to sequence lengthy genes, that sort of thing, because originally Doc misunderstood it, and then he corrected himself, and they're claiming that he schooled Doc and he apologized to him. But if you listen to that conversation, it is unbelievably. I mean, Doc was sitting there thinking, "Okay, what have I gotten myself into? How do I get out?"
Doc who?
Doc Savage.
Okay, I figured as much. I just wanted to. Wait, Doc Savage talked to Maddox?
Oh yeah, I've got that on here.
Oh my god, I need to give him a hug.
Oh, he needs a hug, man, after this shit. And Maddox was so rude to him and so arrogant. Maddox was talking to him like he was a child, and he was talking to an actual genetics researcher. I mean,
vaccine researcher.
He's a vaccine. But Maddox thinks he is so smart. He's so educated in this topic that he can treat a man of, those credentials that way. And I was appalled. I've never seen anything quite like it. The truth is, fuck him. I don't want to talk to him either. He's and particularly after that thing with Doc. I think that was the lowest low. Well, no, I'm sure he'll go to new lows, but so far that was his lowest. I've got it on here somewhere. I could play it, but I want to see what he said. What is he talking about with this paper? His sentence is going to run on for a little bit, so we got to let him muster his sentence.
They just completely ignore that entire premise that would be. I mean, just think about that in context of academia.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, premise and context are two of his favorite words. No.
Okay, premise and argument are two different things.
Yeah.
Your argument is not a premise.
And
Your argument is an argument.
he calls facts premises too. I mean, it is a premise that the ribosome is not connected to the amino acid or whatever the hell. It's like
if R.J. Downard went to somebody who
did we speak? Oh,
yeah,
published a paper and said, "How dare you allow people to give it an alternate opinion?" I mean, they look at you like, "What? Are you? Who are you? You're an idiot. Go away."
Yeah, he is an idiot because he hasn't done the work that you have to do in order to understand these topics. And I'm sorry. And if you pretend that you can have an opinion when you have not done the work to understand the topics, then you are a fucking idiot.
Right? But it's the exact same thing that's being done in the atheist community. Does that make sense?
Do you have I tried to post a link and people are saying they can't.
Okay, so I don't know. There's a whole bunch of shit in here. Computer science.
The fundamental issue here is that for somebody who claims to have studied logic, you really don't understand the reason people are attacking your arguments, are you?
He claimed to understand logic?
Yeah, remember on his description? What does his description say?
Oh, I haven't read that damn thing.
It says that he studied logic and biology and like quantum mechanics and all these other amazing complicated topics for several years.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're telling me that people are attacking you and they aren't attacking your arguments.
Okay, I'll be honest. I read pop science books on those topics. There you go.
Okay.
I've tried to read some of the research on it, and I'm going to say it's not simple. I'm sorry, Maddox, but the research, like what you are doing to try and attempt to understand it, which really, if I'm being honest, you're out of your league because you don't have any basic biology or chemistry training to understand this.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
he doesn't know what he doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like the more, see, I really love the Dunning-Kruger effect because it shows that people who are intelligent, they realize how much they don't know. You know what I mean?
yeah,
unlike this guy who's like, oh well, I know, I know that lemon juice is used to make invisible ink. Therefore, I'm gonna wear the lemon juice. Oh wait, wrong guy.
Okay, let me know what you want me to do. So
Go ahead.
Andrew wants to come in?
Is he here?
No, he's emailed me again. He said, "Let me know what you want me to do."
Yeah, let him in.
Come on in.
I'll leave. I was gonna do something else anyway, but
I think I sent him an invite. I'll send him another invite. Oh, let's see. Copy the clipboard. They make this so hard.
Do they?
They do. Well, for some of us. I'm a boomer. I know. Okay, sent again. Anyway, okay. Let's see. What else we got here? What is jerk? I'm not sure what jerk is.
In the first one, even though I'd watched a bunch of his debates and kind of anticipated it, but anyway, leading up to Jesse and I's tag team debate with him, I let her read my opening statement.
Yeah.
And
Jesse
initially was very concerned that I was basically being too much of a jerk.
Yeah, he was. Let's see.
I'm confused why Shadow Dancer finds that funny. But okay,
Oh.
go on.
She goes on.
My
Explain.
opening statement.
I did. I was so worried. I was like, oh my goodness.
She just didn't think that, you know, what I was saying was justified, you know. Well, I would say that by the end of our debate, my opening stance was well justified in her mind. And I think she even told me that I was right. But I can't remember 100%, but I think it was.
Yeah, that's pretty much that.
Oh my, you mean to tell me that Christians who support other Christians are going to tell you that your fellow brother in Christ is correct on something? Wow, that's a novel concept.
Yep.
Explain to me how that works, Maddox. I'm just clueless.
Yeah. What does baby know? I'm not sure what baby know is. I tag these
Their
kind of.
baby's first meal. Well, how do the babies know what to do?
Uh,
There has to be some kind of passed on knowledge, and it doesn't.
Okay, wait. I go
It
back.
might be kind of a silly argument, but I always go back to Charlotte's Web, you know, and there are definitely spiders
Charlotte's
that do this.
Web.
They either die
Charlotte's
when their
fucking
babies are
Web.
born, or
Really?
they're their baby's first meal. Well, how do the babies know what to do? There has to be some kind of passed on knowledge, and it doesn't happen like that. You know, how's a baby giraffe able to drop 4 feet when it's born and then be able to outrun its predators within an hour? It's not like its parents taught it that within an hour. No way.
There are species of birds, Jess.
Birds. Oh my God. Okay. So
did your mother and father, Jesse, have to teach you how to cry?
yeah.
Was that a thing like that had to happen, like that you can recall being like an intimate part of you and your mother and your father's relationship? I'm so lost.
Yep. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, what I miss?
Oh, probably a lot of profanity.
Oh, quite a lot.
Quite a lot. Yeah. Well, nothing.
Is that for better or worse?
For better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I had to do some chores real quick, so I kind of needed some time to myself.
Oh, Midnight left us.
I think he's going to talk to his boyfriend or God knows what.
Midnight left us. He always leaves without saying goodbye.
He told me to tell you goodbye, so.
Oh, well, goodbye, Midnight. I really wanted to say goodbye to him. So it's always a pleasure to have him. Yeah, we're going over this live Q&A debate, reviews, rants, and who knows what else. You know, we could go over that thing that he did with Doc Savage, but I'm not sure if I can keep my cool listening to it again. But let's see.
I think we're going to redo this whole video.
What's that?
I think we're just going to have to redo this whole video.
Redo this? Why?
It's just, I don't know. It's too.
We're too mean.
It's being too just harsh on him. I mean,
what?
I don't know. I've enjoyed having the chance to just be 100% at him, but I don't know.
Oh, you're starting to feel bad for John. You know,
I'm
a little too
starting
hard.
to feel a sense of empathy for just all the mental trauma John must have gone through in his life to bring him to where he is now.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah. But I mean, you know, when you're publicly out there, no matter what has happened to you, when you are publicly ranting and raving like he is, you kind of invite this sort of criticism, and he is producing misinformation and people are buying into it. And because of that, I don't think there are limits to fighting back on that. And yeah, he's probably, you know, had some damage in his life and, you know, to his physical health and probably mental health. And if he would just be a man and come and talk to us like a human being, we could work some of this stuff out and gain a little bit of humility.
Not just that, but I mean, just have some sense of self-humbling and humility.
A little, just a little.
Just an air of it. I've met people who are exactly like John, and you know, those kinds of people tend to have experiences that put them in bad places, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maddox said earlier in his career that apparently he was running a business of some kind, and now he's doing Uber driving. Now, I don't know about, the way miracles work, but something tells me that that's a downgrade, not an upgrade.
Yep.
Now, maybe he got fired by, just off chance and people needed to be let go, and unfortunately John was one of the people on that list.
Yeah, I think he may have developed websites for people or something with WordPress or something like that. I'm not sure what he was talking about with his businesses, but he doesn't talk too much about his past. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, we've been really harsh on him, I guess, but God, I think he deserves it. I think, do you want to know why I think he deserves it?
Sure.
Where is it? Let's see here. Smoky? Is it on Smoky?
Yeah, object of interest.
Where I'm at. Understanding. Okay, live. That one. It's somewhere. Okay. It's right here. So let me share another screen. I hear Dougie. Dougie.
Yeah, they're pretty loud.
Okay. Chrome tab. After show. Oh my God, raccoons are breaking in. Okay. The Ray Comfort debate, I thought Ray Comfort did one thing really well. He had one comment that kind of rocked Delahunty a little bit. So I waited backstage on this on Maddox's channel for I think 30 minutes, and I looked away.
Finally, wow, the one and only speed of sound in for a moment. All right, Mike, you're in, buddy. Tell us about your thoughts of the debate tonight.
1003, 1004, 1005.
Oh, now he's on delay. Oh man, that you lost your window.
There you go. That was my window.
Hunter, what's going on? We had him in here for a while, and now we've got him on. So, Doc, I know you were getting Nancy. Yeah, tell us what your thoughts are. What do you want to talk about?
I'm going to explode at him for this, but...
Have you listened to this?
Yes, I did.
Okay. This is just absolutely... I mean, the way he treated Doc, I think, in this talk, he is deserving of everything we gave him here tonight, and I think we ought to give him some more. I mean, we need to tear his arguments down in detail, paper by paper, and he deserves everything he gets after what he did to Doc. I'm sorry. He was a jerk. Where the hell did Doc apologize? 106. Okay, 106. I want to hear this apology. Let me go back a little bit.
Issue a facade to present that I didn't know what I was talking about because you're Mr. Expert. But since you are the expert, supposedly, you knew full well that you were full of crap because I was directly asking you these questions.
Again, if you don't have the ingredients to make a cake, you'll never make a cake. And yeah, I was incorrect in what I said, and I hope you accept my apology for that.
Okay, so
so he humbly apologized for something that he may have gotten wrong about DNA sequencing or something. So it's like, yeah.
The thing is, though, is that
you heard the tone, right?
Switch topics mid-sentence, and really,
he did it over and over again. I mean, he constantly just switched up on this guy.
Let me be a little bit nice and a little bit honest about this.
On my side?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Maddox doesn't realize what he's doing here. But as a genuine question, Maddox, do you realize in the conversation that you had with Doc that you were changing topics? And I mean, from my recollection, you hit about 17 to 20 different topics.
Doc said 19.
Yeah, it's a high number. But you hit those. And based on your attitude and how you examined this conversation, you thought that you were staying on the topic of question this the whole time. Now, I'm just wondering if was that intentional on your part, or did you not know you were doing that? Because you were.
Okay, and
like not just trying to be confrontational, but from like being scientific about it, yeah. You went all over the place.
To try to be fair with Maddox, he's getting a lot of attention for what he's doing and his style, and it's feeding into his arrogance and his abusive manner in dealing with other people, and it's sort of you know what I mean? It's feeding back into he's getting all these accolades from his groupies, and it's feeding back into the harshness, and he views us as the evolutionists, and we are to be jumped upon and treated this way. So basically what I'm doing tonight is the same thing that he's doing, and I'm guilty of the same thing, that I will come down on him with harshness. But this is called Saturday Night at the Atheist, okay? And on this show, on this particular segment, when we do these things, this is what it's for. It's to vent. And
yeah,
that's kind of how I designed it. We could do other segments where we deal with him on an intellectual basis more honestly and more compassionately. But on this particular thing, he was invited on to defend himself. If he had come on, I would have treated him much differently, and I would have talked to him very, very civilly, and I would not have insulted him at all. But he did not come on, and he continues to avoid the discussion, and he will not debate me. He's afraid to debate me, and until he grows a pair and has an honest conversation with me, this particular segment, Saturday nights, all hell's going to break loose. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? To kind of elaborate for people about my own behavior, and for people who think I'm being harsh. Every time I interact with a creationist, be it Nephilim, be it Maddox, be it Smokey, be it whoever else you want to name, I will always start calm with them. And I will remain calm until either they are antagonistic, until they start interrupting me,
right,
or until they start putting words in my mouth that I have not said. Yeah. Or unless they cut me off during a point.
Yep.
Now, the thing is, right, I honestly would like to view Maddox as an interlocutor, as somebody who, we genuinely disagree. He has sources that think support his point. I have sources that I believe view my point. Let's sit down, discuss them, view why you think you're correct, view why I think I'm correct, have a nice discourse over it, and hopefully we come back learning something from it.
Yep.
Because, really, I'm invested in trying to learn what truth is, and if my position is wrong or if it's correct. So, people behaving the way Maddox behaves, and by that I mean, when I talked to him several weeks ago, and he just continuously cut me off when I was trying to finish my point, or he just ignored the point I was trying to make and made no indication that either A, he didn't understand it, or B, if he did, he just didn't want to go down that road. In either circumstance, whatever you do is fine, but just ignoring it and returning back to the same argument that people are trying to address comes across as disrespectful. Yeah. So it's, look, is Maddox an imbecile? No. Maddox is a person who is trying to examine this topic and trying to find a way to rationalize his belief in God and make a cogent argument using scientific data. And that's perfectly fine. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I have an issue when people are stating something, for instance, that, this paper makes this point, but when you actually provide the source, and when people are actually able to see it, and it's pointed out to you, oh, by the way, either you were mistaken through this, you were mistaken on this point, or number two, just as worse, you lied and you deny this point, then unfortunately I have no other recourse than to be less than charitable with you.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's fair. Have you listened to this part, Andrew?
No, I don't know exactly the context here, but it sounds bad.
Okay, we could show you. We could listen to a little bit of this. I'm going to put in the. Okay, this is for you later to listen to this. It's at Mark 50, I think.
Okay.
But anyway,
we had him in here for a while, and now we've got him on.
But one of them used the word cult, and I'd like to inquire about that because it's not consistent with my experience as an atheist. So,
well, you might not be a cultist. You might have individual thoughts, and you don't repeat the thoughts and talking points of your popes without thinking about it yourself. Maybe you're not. I don't know
popes.
You. Okay. By popes, who would you have in mind?
Well, like Matt Dillahunty, Sam Harris, Hitchens. What? The people who have horrible arguments and terrible talking points and grotesque logic, and they just don't actually think about it themselves. They just regurgitate it back on us and expect us to clean it up as a huge mess. It just gets a little frustrating after a while.
I can understand that, although the three people that you mentioned tend to use impeccable logic and very good arguments.
That's a subjective opinion, but okay, yeah, it's a subjective opinion, and you're entitled to it. I disagree.
Okay, that's fine. Someone also mentioned evolution, and as it's my area of expertise, I thought that might be a useful thing to unpack again. But if it's not strictly relevant to the conversation, we can do that another time.
That's going to be John's call.
I'm okay with it. The evolutionary component has significant relevance in the atheist worldview, whether or not it's an accepted premise or not. Because if it is...
Use the word premise again. I don't know.
Right, so,
okay. Almost right there. Yeah.
Even assuming... Okay, so the thing is, even assuming Maddox is correct, he isn't. Because, number one, the theory of evolution has no dependence upon biological organisms, upon the first cell coming into existence.
Right.
It assumes that life forms exist and that there are pressures by which evolutionary mechanisms proposed on can act in such a way to cause certain changes to occur. Nothing about this requires abiogenesis, but that's fine. I could be wrong. Let's grant it for the sake of argument and see where he goes.
And nothing about it requires not believing in the Christian God. There's that's all that scientists like Doc Savage are trying to do is figure out what happened in the history of life and figure out what's connected to what. And he works in virology or vaccines or which one? Okay.
Virology. I'm not
virology.
Yeah. Vaccines.
Yeah. And phylogenetics and bioinformatics is very, very important in figuring out how these different things come to be and how they move in our population, how they translate. That's all stuff that you need evolution for. It has nothing to do with a worldview. It has nothing to do. And the other point I'd like to push back on is coming up against Sam Harris. Sam Harris is a philosopher. And none of these guys are a match for Sam Harris. I'm sorry.
No,
agree with them or not.
It's laughable, but
anyway,
completely invalid, especially in the context of going to abiogenesis. Then
okay, now he's brought up abiogenesis. Okay,
are we talking
the whole premise of No, I'm saying that both Darwinism, going all the way back to abiogenesis, is a significant foundational point for the atheist worldview. If either one is false, especially about
if I can interject,
the worldview is a fantasy. Go ahead.
Do you know the Catholic Church position on evolution?
I do, but that has zero relevance to the point that I'm making from a scientific perspective. I mean, I have debates on this exact topic, and I could care less about what the Catholic Church position.
Yeah, that's totally valid.
Yeah, considering the Catholic Church stance on pedophilia, we're not going to trust their stance on evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Abiogenesis, though, is a different thing. Is the term that you have as well?
What? I missed the last portion of your
prebiotic
question.
chemistry is a very specialist field. That like emerging into biochemistry is a really interesting field.
Oh, I mean, it's a very interesting one, and it's growing. It's becoming a more and more. The goalpost is getting further and further away the more we learn about biology, and this is
really is. That's okay.
Yeah, it really isn't. We've looked at these papers in the last few weeks, and there is so much being done on this, and it kind of surprised me how many new theories and new evidence that they have compared to what they had 5 years ago. I mean, he just assumes that, and he just states it, just blatantly makes it up.
Pretty freely admitted
if I can
premise, even by the Lee Cronins of the world, when he's actually put on the spot about it, that we have no clue, and he's considered one of the leading origin of life researchers.
Well, that's not close to prevailing opinion. Put it that way.
Oh, really?
Okay. What aspect do you think
really?
is the major issue?
Which aspect? All of them. So you've got you've got genetic code, you've got the protein problem, you have the replication problem, you have all of you have all of the pieces of biology that. I mean, you have the homochirality problem, you have the homeolinkage problem, you have.
What's a homeolinkage problem?
No
idea. Homeolinkage refers to the fact that when you have two amino acids, particularly lysine and arginine, lysine and arginine both have two amino groups, so they have their primary amino group, but they also have an amino group that's present within their structure that potentially can also react to form an amide bond, and that would cause a not so good bond formation to occur. But the important thing here, right, is notice what Doc is trying to do. What Doc is trying to do is say, hey, look, okay, yeah, we agree. Let's choose one topic.
Yep.
Because Doc is aware of these issues.
Yeah.
You don't need to go through all of them, Maddox, but choose one, and we'll see which one he chooses.
Yep. Homeolinkage is not a very common term for that. It's kind of hard to find information on it.
I mean, there's an ongoing list of recognized issues from a prebiotic chemistry perspective that are freely admitted and force a utter reliance on deep time for this to even have a remote premise of plausibility. So, I mean,
nobody in their right mind denies deep time. No.
Okay, and here's the interesting thing about that, right? Keep in mind that the topic we were just going over, right, is referring to this idea of abiogenesis. So this idea of prebiotic molecules that have simple structures and sometimes have complex reactivity, are going to react in some kind of convoluted way to form these biological structures. And oddly enough, Maddox seems to interject this notion that, you need deep time if we're anywhere near for it to work.
Right. So now he's brought the discussion over to radioactive dating and young Earth creationism, and that had no place in this discussion.
Right. I mean, but the other thing
obviously,
about this is kind of like almost a strike one. It might be a foul ball, actually, because origin of life research already accepts the fact that even if you don't agree with it, that an old Earth is going to be what's being used to determine this.
Yeah, so he tries to take it out at the at the knees.
Right, and so why would you be concerned about this issue unless you're arguing it from a position that isn't actually old Earth.
Yeah.
And that should act, for people that are paying close attention to what Maddox is about to do, as towards where Maddox's commitments actually lie.
Like, doesn't abiogenesis, as far as I know, doesn't abiogenesis happen actually very quickly in terms of geological time?
Yes. So the best estimates on that are that as much, like as quickly as 150 to 200 million years after the Earth had formed, we may have had organisms already as complex as phytoplankton.
Yep. Oh God, Jesse talks about the plankton. Oh my God, we got to go back to that other video later. She talks about the plankton. Okay,
let's go through this.
She says, "Where did the plankton come from to feed the whales or something?" I don't know what it was. It was amazing. She was talking about abiogenesis. She said, "How could that have happened? Where's the plankton? Where did the plankton come from?" It's like, it was amazing. Anyway, I digress.
To say that this is not something that's in major conundrum. I mean, I'd like to find out where you're getting that from, because there's ongoing stuff from this year talking about how they're nowhere close.
What?
Well, it's interesting. You link the problems that you have, as expressed in a list, to deep time. Is that the key issue?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that you're you are the one that has to rely on deep time. I'm saying that deep time, without deep time, the premise of abiogenesis is not even a remotely feasible component.
Without deep time, you have to accept the Christian worldview in Genesis, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing, though. It's that, Maddox, surely you noticed that people who are working in this system already accept the premise of deep time. Now you don't, which is why you're referring to it. Now, there's another reason you might be referring to it. James Tour, a person that's very active in commentating on the origin of life without actually doing much, has raised the point that deep time can be counterproductive for certain organic reactions to form these biomolecules. Now, maybe that's what you were trying to say. But again, when... It's the question of, why would you first raise abiogenesis and the actual relevant issues to it, and then raise deep time as an issue?
Doc caught that, so let's see how
that's freely admitted. Even though the improbabilities of it completely destroy the entire premise of deep time in the first place.
Yeah.
Because
improbabilities of deep time? What is he talking about?
He's talking about the improbabilities of certain chemical reactions that need to occur. The fact that they're directly controlled.
But how does that destroy deep time?
It doesn't.
Yeah. It's like going from puddle to a lake. What is the improbabilities of going from A to Z if there are increments along the way that we know about, which is a second, a year, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and we unfortunately don't have an elaboration on Maddox's part for this particular contention of his.
Well, to be fair, this whole stream is about him not making sense, so why would we expect him to start now?
Well, there we go.
Well, like another...
So I'm not really following what your point is.
Yeah, I completely accept the requirement for extended periods of prebiotic chemistry. And we have those. So it would take a first-year lecture course to go into all of them, but this is what I do for
first year,
and it's essentially what I've been doing for all of my career. The apparent problems that you have seem linked to perhaps a young Earth position that is itself very difficult to establish as fact.
I haven't said anything about young Earth.
Correct.
I'm talking about the origin of life. And
okay, come on.
Here's the thing about that.
He did say something about young Earth.
He inferred to it indirectly. So Maddox has said in previous hangouts that he is a young Earther, but this has never been brought up in this particular hangout. But one can rationally infer that might be Maddox's position, given the
comment about deep time.
Given the fact that he commented on this whole deep time issue, interestingly enough.
So he's denying it. So now this is like the first point where he starts to spin Doc. He's going to spin him like a top.
The thing is, what's beginning to happen here, and you can take my word for it, or you can finish watching the video, is that Maddox is starting to get irritated that somebody can see through what he's doing, and that people can parse out what he's saying, and people can understand what he's saying better than he's able to make the point.
So that's maybe explains why his behavior in the rest of this,
And I would like you, since you're supposed to do this professionally, I would like you to point me to a paper or your own professional stance that says we actually have a remote clue other than pure hypothetical. I guess if all of these things happened perfectly, then please.
Okay, here's a point, and this is Standing for Truth's favorite thing. They want you to point them to one paper, one landmark paper, and you realize if somebody had a paper like that would be like 10 Nobel Prizes all at once if there was such a paper. I mean, that shows how these guys think about science, and it shows what they do as creationists. I call it chicken picking, where they think there's like one point that disproves evolution, and they offer them, and then they have like a basket full of them, but it's like, oh, this disproves evolution, but they want a similar thing from the other side, from science, to prove all of abiogenesis in one paper. Well,
and here's the interesting thing about that as well, though, is that keep in mind that Maddox earlier in this video had referenced several issues with the origin of life, such as peptide linkage, such as nucleobase formation, such as homochirality, such as conditions regarding chemical purity, things like that, failure to isolate chemicals, yada yada yada. I'm actually curious. I mean, Maddox has read more than one paper, obviously. We can pull up the folder he has and see that.
There's 110 of them, I think, original right now.
Oh, geez.
Well, and the thing is, though, is that does it sound rational to anybody who is viewing this particular video or viewing us viewing the video? How weird is that, right? Does it seem rational to people that what Maddox is asking for seems realistic? That you would be able to find all the answers to these questions in just one paper.
Yeah.
These topics are noteworthy enough, even within origin of life research, to be able to be categorized into their own field of study. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you don't know everything, then you know nothing, basically.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a ridiculous ask. Anyway, moving on.
Please expound, because I read up on this stuff on a regular basis, and everything I'm seeing, I was reading papers on this last night, actually. And
how do you read up on this when there are 3,000 papers a year?
It's not even that point. It's look, for those people who are trying to wonder, okay, how am I going to be rational? How am I going to, learn about this stuff and defend my views accurately? You don't need to read all 3,000 papers. Hell, even the experts don't read that much.
Right. Walking fish.
Yeah, I mean, what's important, though, and what's significant is to read something, to make sure that when you read something, if you don't understand it, ask questions about it. Do some marking up on it and see whether or not you can find answers to those things. Because scientific literature is a very rough thing. They're not going to go easy on you just because you're an outsider. So, if you want to understand something and you are really, really serious in understanding, and actually trying to figure out like what the solutions for the origin of life is going to be, you need to do some hardcore reading and you need to do independent research into this, because this thing is very complicated. The chemistry here is nowhere near simple. It's not as simple as reacting two chemicals in a jar and just obtaining all the biological molecules of life. It won't happen.
He shows his hand a little later here, I think, pretty. Just a walking fish is in the chat.
I think what we should do is we should perhaps cut this off after we get through this discussion period.
Okay.
Well, or maybe part of the way through.
Yep. Okay.
And from this year,
Yeah.
and it's still being freely admitted that it's not. So you're the expert. Go ahead. Multiple, but go ahead. You're the expert. Go ahead. Tell us how we're so close.
Precise question.
You just said a few minutes ago that you professionally are doing this, and that we are very close to understanding how this is done. And you said,
did he actually say that we were very close?
No, he didn't.
I think
you
so.
do this professionally. So please expound. How so?
Well, part of abiogenesis is the problem in terms of the chemistry that you see being the first point, that it nucleotide. What's this? Is it?
Wait, I have a question.
Based on matrix?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it self-replication?
What Doc say he was an expert in exactly? Just curious.
He said he was an expert regarding origin of life, which isn't technically true. He's an expert in immunology. He has a PhD in it, and he does vaccine research. But he's very qualified to talk about this.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an expert in.
Well, I wasn't arguing that. I was when someone brings up and I found this out recently that when someone brings up the idea of an expert, the fact is that in science there is really no such thing as an expert, because it's the collective process that gets things done. It's not one individual.
So there are, in my view, such thing as experts because they know so much about and their research is so devoted to.
Right. Let me rephrase that. Sorry. You're right. That there are experts in certain fields, but in terms of experts in all fields, I should say, if you have if you have someone in immunology, for instance, you're not going to ask them about the chemistry of geology, for instance.
Yeah.
So sorry, I should have rephrased that.
No, it's fine. Keep going, Speed.
Is it membrane formation? Is it ribozyme activity? I mean, any of these?
So I'm pretty sure all of those represent problems, as you well know, and the
so that's
organization of all of those into a work.
So that actually is ignoring the question that Doc asked, and perhaps Maddox missed this crucial detail. What issue do you think is most pertinent or most important? It doesn't make a difference to the origin of life problem. That was the question that was offered to you, Maddox. Choose one topic, not all, one that you think is pertinent, and go down a conversation with it.
Is another layer of that issue, correct?
Well, the things you've described as problems are all demonstrated to be.
So you're telling me that the helicase can form itself. So you're
okay. So that's kind of unusual. what we were talking about earlier is we were talking about various processes such as nucleotide formation or amino acid synthesis or lipid synthesis and things like that. And now you're bringing up the topic of helicases, which is something only pertinent to the topic of modern genetic replication in eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Why exactly? What's the point of that?
Because they think modern life is the same as the original life.
Well, it's that they think that this thing had to form the way modern cells are now.
Right.
Because remember, also according to their view, things don't evolve.
Right.
So it actually makes quite a bit of sense in this case why Maddox thinks something like abiogenesis is impossible.
Yeah.
Speed?
Is it raccoons?
Oh, okay. I was saying stuff, and you guys missed it, man. It was brilliant.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
I forgot it. It was brilliant, but I forgot it. No, Genesis. That's what they believe. That everything just popped into existence all at once. So they want to jam that same idea into abiogenesis, and they can't visualize the amazing network of steps that were involved to go from basically a cooling Earth, to that first life form. So and they do this continually. They're constantly, like, he's putting his young Earth mindset into the time problem, right? Now he's putting his young Earth mindset by bringing up helicases, and Doc is probably pretty confused at this point. What am I doing?
You're saying the helicase can form itself.
Well,
no, I'm telling you that polynucleotides.
Are you saying that a ribosome?
Okay, now ribosomes.
Can a working function of a ribosome form itself?
Oh my God, that's an ignorant question.
That with this at all. So I'm trying to understand where
is a ribosome an ultimate component of transcription and translation and protein synthesis.
What you've said there is
meaningless.
It's meaningless. So you're saying that a working ribosome is not
because those things can happen in a ribosomal.
By themselves, you're saying that the full.
What I'm saying is, in answer to your previous question, that you've now moved on from,
can occur without a working ribosome and all of the other proteins and enzymes that are required for the transcription translation process.
Yeah, duh.
Yes, they can.
Well, it seems that you're moving questions each time.
I'm not. I'm asking the ultimate question of abiogenesis, which is, how does a living system come into existence without all the parts? Ultimately, especially in terms of the replication process, which there's many, and it's been recognized in quite a few papers that the entire premise of the full replication system being able to come into existence all by itself is not really a plausible,
logical
deal. I mean, are you telling me that the linkage problem just for nucleotides is not a valid one? Because I'm pretty sure, like, the last paper I saw on it was like around 200, it starts to collapse.
So are we talking?
Okay, he's talking about something else with linkage problem. He's talking about the is he talking about RNAs, or is he talking about proteins?
I believe he's talking about proteins, because with proteins you typically have an issue where if you start reacting proteins or trying to form 200 more than 200 amino acids in a chain by a very specific model for reacting them into peptides, you won't be able to. But I don't think he's referring to that. I think what he said was nucleotides, but I think what he means actually is amino acids.
So he's calling polymerization the linkage problem.
Yeah, he's calling polymerization of amino acids a linkage problem in DNA, which...
Yeah. And the linkage problem is typically talking about the codons or the coding to tRNA. That's another place where you'll find the linkage problem talked about. But okay, so now he's brought up ribosomes, he's brought up helicases, and he was talking about abiogenesis. And John honestly thinks that is the problem, doesn't he? He really believes that that's the problem, abiogenesis. Am I correct?
He does.
Right.
Oh my God, I didn't realize that before. So, maybe I should be nicer to him. I didn't realize he was that intellectually challenged on this subject.
Well, it's kind of ironic to bring up something you said earlier, that they have, and not trying to be harsh here, but they have this simple view, like you said, of Genesis, basically of abiogenesis.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, some of them, those in intelligent design, believe that complexity is the issue for evolution.
Yeah, they do. Amazing. Okay.
Protein synthesis or nucleotide polymerization, because those aren't the same thing. No.
Well, I'm saying that all of these are relevant. So I'm saying you're saying that
they all are.
Okay, so is the linkage problem valid? Yes or no?
Which linkage? Protein or DNA or RNA? Nucleotide linkage. A phosphodiester bond.
Now, okay.
What is the question?
The question is in the lab, do we have a bonding problem that usually, in the range of around 200, where a artificially created strand starts to collapse?
I see.
Is that yes or no?
We're now talking about helicase activity in the presence of high temperature, right?
No, I'm saying without the helicase. I'm talking about just in context of synthetic DNA.
So the reason here that Doc is struggling Doc is kind of struggling to understand what exactly he's talking about is that Maddox, without knowingly doing it, is referring to the fact that the synthesis model, which is called solid state synthesis for peptides, its limit can be pushed to about 200 amino acids. Now, proteins on the other, nucleotides, on the other hand, are a very different issue.
Yeah.
You can create chains of them to a reasonable length. I don't know the actual number, so I won't claim to. But the issue is that Maddox has doubled down on a claim, which he is incorrect about, and let's see what he does.
Yep.
So at this point, you've taken me down a rabbit hole of about 19 questions.
This one's a pretty direct. If you're actually an expert, this is a very direct one, because this is a fundamental component.
Perhaps you could rephrase your question and summarize it in a sentence.
Okay. In order for DNA to form, you have to have the base pairs, correct?
What?
And they have to bond to the phosphate backbone, correct?
What?
Well, the phosphate backbone is one thing,
and there's more about
another.
Right, with the hydrogen bond. Yes, with the hydrogen bond. What I'm saying is, when we've
he throws out the hydrogen bonds. He's talking about double-stranded DNA, and he's talking about binding to the phosphate background. So he's talking about single-stranded RNA, and Doc is very confused.
So this is yet another thing that he's talking about now. So now you're talking about the issue of, even if you have a nucleobase, such as a ribose that's attached to, for instance, a ribose that has been attached to a pyrimidine or a purine base, now the issue is that you need to attach the
phosphate nucleoside to a nucleotide, right?
To the proper hydroxyl group,
right.
Which is a different issue entirely than the issue of assembling proteins together in a certain number of chains, or assembling nucleotides in
the lab.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
I can understand why Doc is confused here, because He's jumping questions. He's jumping through questions again, and he doesn't realize it.
And when Doc starts to try to drill into the details, listen to what Maddox says.
You have to have the base pairs, correct? And they have to bond to the phosphate backbone, correct?
Bond to the phosphate backbone.
Well, the phosphate backbone is one thing.
Okay, first of all, he said base pairs, which is not valid at all in that sentence.
And
I mean, obviously, there's more about
bonding to each other.
Right, with the hydrogen bond. Yes, with the hydrogen bond.
Okay, the hydrogen bond. Okay, the hydrogen bond has to do with double-stranded DNA. It does not have to do with that single strand forming, correct?
Right.
So you see, he's just making shit up so that he's making stuff up to sound like he knows what he's talking about, but he really doesn't.
Is he just to clarify, is he talking about DNA itself forming with hydrogen bonds versus RNA forming without hydrogen bonds?
He's referring to the fact of DNA forming while also having its phosphates attached to it. He's asking about how do you form strains of DNA prebiotically, given that you have these you have these purine and pyrimidine bases, you have ribose, and you have phosphate that's floating around in an ocean. That's his question.
Yeah, and he's confusing it with double-stranded DNA. So Doc is like, what the hell is he talking about? So go a little further here.
What I'm saying is, when we've in the lab, when we try to create a synthetic DNA strand and bond and
by
link
do you mean
the nucleotides? Or just... I'm saying the experts in the chemistry lab, when they try to do it synthetically, not modifying existing DNA, they try to do it artificially. Around 150 to 200 nucleotides in length, it starts to collapse, and they have not been able to make it past that point.
So
in the lab,
no.
Are you saying that we can't synthesize DNA beyond 200 nucleotides in the lab?
We can synthesize DNA that's when we're modifying existing DNA. When we're trying to build it completely from scratch, we have the homolinkage problem.
Okay, there it is. Homolinkage problem.
Homolinkage can refer to DNA, but it's more than likely also referring to this amino acid topic. So yes, ribose can have 5' 2' linkages, but it can also have 5' 3' linkages also.
I don't think he's talking about that at all.
He isn't. He's referring to amino acids forming in the right way, having the N-terminus bond or having the N-terminus react with the C-terminus directly.
He's calling the homolinkage problem the fact that you can't shake up a bunch of shake up a bunch of ingredients and end up with something longer than 200 nucleotides.
Yep.
But that particular problem, I am not familiar with. I don't know. I thought it was much less than that.
Not either. I haven't seen. I don't know if any of his sources address that issue.
I mean, I think they were talking 20 and 30 nucleotides for RNA, and then there are some stability problems, and they basically hypothesis was that those small RNAs had some catalytic ability, whatever. I am getting tired, but okay, let's listen.
I'm really sorry, but you're way behind. I've done this myself many times.
Yeah.
And
synthesized DNA.
I'm sorry, you're just factually incorrect on that. But I mean, is there another thing you want?
Okay, this is the thing that he apologizes for at 106, and I don't even know why he apologized. But let's see if we can figure it out.
Jump into maybe. You seemed concerned about protein folding. And
wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. No. You just said he was factually incorrect about something. Then correct him.
Whoops.
You don't get to just ad hominem his argument and then say let's move on and think you're just getting ahead over. No.
Monkey's way off base here.
So, number one, we have the accusation that Doc has ad hominem. That the Doc has ad hominem somehow Maddox's arguments.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
No, he didn't.
Doc in this entire conversation has been nothing but respectful. He's been trying to make sure he understands Maddox's position and is trying not to strawman that position. Now, the thing that Smokey actually is wanting to ask for is a source that is something that Doc has said, and he wants a source on. Now, why he didn't just say, hey, you made a claim and you didn't justify it. Can you please give a source for that?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Smokey is choosing to go this other route.
Address his argument.
Okay. How would you like me to do that?
You said what he just said was inaccurate and wrong. I expect you to be able to elaborate, unless you're just trying to ad hominem the argument to get away from it without looking like you can't answer it. So I would appreciate you answering his argument.
Saying you're mistaken is not ad hominem.
That's not what ad hominiming something is.
Ad hominiming, is that a word? It is an
argument is.
Okay.
Argument instead of just attacking it.
So if I give you a publication in which I've synthesized DNA multiple kilobases in length, would that suffice?
Sure.
100% from scratch.
100% from scratch. What does that mean?
Let's see that from the paper.
100% from scratch.
As in from atomic level or nucleotide?
You had free floating nucleotides, and you synthesized kilobase DNA strands.
Okay. Without an existing template?
Without an existing template, and without any enzymes or any of the transcription components.
So here, why would you do that? Unless you were working in abiogenesis, why would you throw a bunch of nucleotides together and hope to build a strand of what? What would
So now we've actually reached the interesting part of Maddox's contention. So what Maddox wanted to know all along, or wanted to know at least for now, was how do you take a ribose sugar, a purine or pyrimidine nitrogenous base, and a phosphate molecule, and react them to form a nucleotide.
Right.
So that was actually the question. This question had nothing to do with protein synthesis. It had nothing to do with nucleotide synthesis.
Nothing to do with hydrogen bonding. Nothing to do with double-stranded DNA.
Right. So the question is, how do you react three components of something to create this new structure, which we call nucleotides in biological chemistry?
Well, the way go ahead.
No, it's just so now we have clarification, and it makes you wonder. Okay, so what exactly was the rest of this conversation for?
Right. I lost my train of thought. Okay, we'll go on.
So we've extended that from a PCR environment to an abiotic.
Have you done it without any of those components?
Environment.
Without any of those
components? Well, not without the components required to do the reaction. So I withdraw my comment.
So thank you.
Okay, so we haven't been able to have a chemical reaction without the components. What?
Thank you for trying to BS your way through this and try to act like I didn't know what the hell I was talking about and claim that you have done this and solved this problem when you're literally full of shit.
You're correct. If you don't,
you think that was called for?
Now, isn't that an interesting claim? It's not that Maddox wasn't clear, and it's not that Doc Savage wasn't trying to clarify on the topic. Oh, now it's that John Maddox was never wrong to begin with, and that Doc Savage is a piece of shit.
Yep.
Wow, that's kind of interesting. I mean, because as far as my recollection of this conversation, where did Maddox point out where Doc was wrong?
Yeah.
Ever.
And try to act like I didn't know what the hell I'm. Thank you.
You do the reaction. So I withdraw my comment.
So thank you for trying to BS your way through this and try to act like I didn't know what the hell I was talking about and claim that you have done this and solved this problem when you're literally full of shit.
You're correct. If you don't have the ingredients to make the cake, you'll never.
So
make
what
the
is
cake.
abiogenesis, buddy? Do you have? This is the whole point. If you don't have those factors, then you are working from scratch, correct?
Well, I'm working from.
You're trying to work like it would be from prebiotic soup, right?
What?
Sure.
Okay, so ultimately what we have gone around and danced around for the last 15 minutes is that no, we have no. You have not done what you claimed you have done in terms of a direct comparison to the prebiotic soup, because you're not being able to do it without the factors that I delineated as being requirements in order for life to exist, which you then dismissed. So now we've eventually come back around to the reality that A, I was not full of shit, B, you were, and you were trying to completely issue a facade to present that I didn't know what I was talking about. Because
so he never did that to John at all, did he?
No. So here's my recollection of this conversation. Let's see. Number one, Doc came in. There was a quick exchange between why Smokey thinks that certain atheist talking figures are cultists. There was a disagreement. Doc Savage wanted to bring up abiogenesis and evolution if that was relevant. Maddox chose to. Now, Maddox chose to bring up several issues, and halfway through that, bring up young Earth creationism, or bring up the fact that evolutionists need deep time to account for these problems. Okay. The question then asked was, is Maddox a young Earther? Does Maddox think that deep time is a problem? Well, Maddox obfuscates from that by going into a problem. He goes into the fact that
10 of them.
Using quite a few. Using the fact that using solid state synthesis techniques in a laboratory, typically you can't get beyond 150 to 200 amino acids to react to form a polypeptide chain and to stabilize. Okay, well, that point was tried to move over, but Maddox then changed it to say that he was actually talking about nucleotides. Okay, so the claim is changed from nucleotides can't form in more than a 200 oligomer strand. Okay, well, actually we can, because we use PCR to do that.
Right.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about how many we can form. I'm talking about, can you give me ribose, a pyrimidine or purine base, and a phosphate molecule, and have them react to form the nucleotide, and have those nucleotides form strings. So, as a matter of fact, Maddox has brought up quite a few topics here, and never once in that conversation was where he was trying to go with that argument clear. What was
true, Mr. Expert? But since
and worse, Maddox seems to actually think that Doc was claiming to have done an abiogenesis experiment where he took prebiotic soup and created a strand of DNA. That's what Maddox actually thinks he said. And it's like, and Doc said no, I mean, he was following along trying to piece together where he could actually start to have a real discussion. And Maddox just jumped all over him. And it's like, and now he's going to apologize. Now, what is he apologizing for, Doc?
Oh, I think he's apologizing for a lot of things.
Oh.
Well, like if indeed you have a prebiotic soup, you still need energy and you still need some kind of catalyzation element to it, correct? Like you don't simply take a bunch of molecules and smash them together.
No, right? The Earth essentially, when it forms, is a giant fireball. So you have heat that's going out the wazoo. You have oceans that are very unstable. And once that's done, you still have enough free energy in the system provided to you by, for instance, inorganic phosphate and inorganic sulfate molecules that can be decomposed and give off tons of energy.
There's hot bands. The thing is, there are trillions upon trillions of microenvironments in the first 200 million years of the Earth cooling, and you can't just. So if you're gonna, you can't just create any soup and expect life to pop out of it. We know that doesn't happen. So you would have to figure out which of these trillions of microenvironments actually caused the first step, which went to another microenvironment, which caused the next step. And that's what abiogenesis is about. And Doc never claimed he solved abiogenesis.
Right. John seems to believe that you take these molecules and you basically clump them together with no other outside elements to it.
Right. You just stir the soup up. You get some soup, throw them together. You throw in some ammonia and some cyanide, and out pops life, which is, of course, what happened in Genesis, right?
Mel seems to think that if you put these chemicals into a jar, just leave it over time on slow heat, it'll just bring you the cell.
Right.
Which, quite amazingly, it won't.
Yeah.
Chemistry is quite complicated, and the fact that Maddox has chosen not to study it or go into any further detail regarding regarding these issues is quite telling. So,
yeah, that much I can understand, that you cannot simply get prebiotic soup and get life without some outside source of energy and minerals and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, this ends pretty quick, I think.
You are the expert. Supposedly, you knew full well that you were full of crap because I was directly asking you these questions.
No, you weren't.
If you don't have the ingredients to make a cake, you'll never make a cake. And yeah, I was incorrect in what I said, and I hope you accept my apology for that.
So what was he incorrect about?
He's giving that for the sake of argument.
Okay.
Because at this point, he's confused as to what Maddox was actually talking about.
Yeah, because he realized that Maddox was asking him if he put together soup and he solved the problem of abiogenesis, and Doc was actually talking about synthesizing strands of DNA.
Right. Okay. So now we're going back to ribosomes, right? So we're now discovering
ribosomes again.
What appears to be nervous system-esque circuitry in them, and they're relevant to.
Okay, nervous system-esque circuitry. Where the hell is that paper? Do you remember what that's about?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's pretty interesting. Nervous something. Oh, I think he's talking about actual nervous system. What is it? They were talking. Okay, there's a paper that talks about how it's like a nervous system or something. This creation of life. Oh, it was a paper that made a comparison. Neural networks. They were talking about how abiogenesis was almost like an intelligent, like an AI, using neural networks, and the name of the paper had something to do with nervousness. So that's what John's talking about, because he saw that title of that paper and he read enough of it to get that line. So there's a paper about posing the theory that abiogenesis was like an artificial intelligence that developed with a neural net or something similar to a neural net. I have the paper somewhere, but anyway.
Which protein circuitry, and discovering that there's like what appears to be nervous system-esque circuitry in them, and they're relevant to
which
protein
kind,
synthesis.
Which kind of ribosome and which subunits are we talking about, or just ribosomes generally?
Well, in this context, ribosomes in general. I was reading a paper on this last night about how they're looking at the whole argument of ribosomes being purely mechanistic systems into having significantly more comprehensive information processing components in the circuitry. And to me, when you start to think about that, okay.
Did you parse that?
Nope.
There's no way to parse that.
Into having significantly more comprehensive information processing components in the circuitry. And
so do you think he really understood anything in that paper at all?
Nope.
And to me, when you start to think about that, okay, you're now having to, in the abiogenesis argument, you're now having to conclude that it's somehow an extremely complicated 3D printing factory on the molecular level able to form itself?
Well, are polypeptides 3D by definition, or do they fold as a function of their environment?
What is the end result of the linear?
Here we go.
What?
So that is actually a relevant question, because how 3D machines work is they embed a structure directly, whereas proteins undergo a stochastic process of folding by usually their environment will aid them in folding, or usually it'll be by aid of a chaperone protein. So the two are not really analogous to each other in that sense. And that's kind of what Doc is trying to get across here.
Right.
But Maddox isn't concerned about the details here. Maddox is concerned only with the end result.
Yeah.
A connection of amino acids. If it's done correctly, it folds into a 3D structure, right?
In certain environments, yeah.
Yeah, and then in other instances, there's chaperone proteins that come along and do additional modifications and et cetera, right? But the end result is a 3D structure, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
How is that any different than a 3D printer?
What?
So the end result of 3D is taking a linear. It's taking a linear information data set, just like you do in 3D printing, and then turning it into a 3D output.
Well,
I mean, that's exactly what a 3D printer is.
Yeah. That would be one like metaphor for it, you know, I guess, right?
Kind of.
We could throw Maddox a point here.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, denied.
Yeah, protein biochemistry is really cool that way.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the improbabilities of it happening by chance get pretty nuts. No,
well, in the absence of selective pressure, sure. But if something works and can reproduce itself, it will tend to proliferate.
Okay. Yeah. So if it reproduces itself and it has all the different components that are required for the reproduction, then maybe. But then you then have to get into the whole aspect of if you don't have the mRNA, how does the ribosome work?
Again,
not in your hypothetical, not in your hypothetical world. In the real world, in the real world, does a ribosome does protein synthesis operate without an mRNA?
Already the issue begins.
Huh?
Because we're not talking about. Maddox started this conversation, if you recall, by wanting to talk about abiogenesis.
Right.
Which means how proteins would be able to fold, and I assume that's why I brought it up, without the presence of ribosomes. Now, it seems kind of weird that when this topic actually tries to get addressed, that Maddox immediately says, "Oh no. I'm not understanding your opinion. I'm interested in how it works in reality." Well, okay, kind of seems counterintuitive to actually bring the point up of abiogenesis to begin with. But that's just me. So, hey.
Aren't there just an off-topic question? Aren't there certain molecules that can self-catalyze and replicate themselves?
Yes, there are.
Right. Like I know that it's not the entire story in terms of abiogenesis, but isn't that a portion of the RNA world hypothesis?
Yeah,
there are. The RNA world hypothesis has issues in other regards, though.
Yeah, right. now they're working on an RNA plus protein. It's called I think let's see, it's RNAP hypothesis, that proteins and RNA sort of co-evolved, and that they weren't necessarily the amino acids we have today. They were probably a small subset of it, plus some extras, which ended up not in the mix. And I don't think there's a lot to be learned, but I think racemic mixtures, with both DNL amino acids could possibly have had a part in all of that, and they were selected out. But in the, 4 billion years later, we've selected 22 amino acids, or 22.
Yeah,
20 plus the 2 strays.
Yeah, maybe it's just me, but that process, I guess, seems kind of overwhelming. That we know so much, but we know so little at the same time.
Yeah, and how can we know? I mean, if you look at, I've become fascinated with asphalt and coal and the number of organic molecules and organic forms that are present, and they're very, very complicated. And then you add to that minerals, which are also extremely complicated. Nobody ever pays them their due. They are not just simple compounds like sodium chloride. I mean, they're extremely complex. And you combine all these things, and we don't know what happened back then or what could have happened. So we don't know all the paths. And that's why they're doing all these experiments, thousands and thousands of them, to find different possibilities. So, but I mean, let's see where Maddox is gonna just gift roll him onto the whole mRNA modern.
I think we should stop here and save the rest of this for another reason.
There's very little more. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we could stop. Okay, but okay. The next important part here. Hang on. Hairball. The next important part of this is where Doc suddenly stops and he realizes, okay, I'm dealing with somebody that doesn't know what he's talking about. And he asks him a question about wobble. And then John comes up with some bullshit answer about wobble. And then Doc goes a little bit further, probably another 5 minutes. And then Doc bails out because he realizes that he's talking to somebody that's totally ignorant of the field. And I think he only abuses Doc like 3 or 4 more times. But I mean, don't you think that was over the top the way he treated him?
I think that the way he was treated in general was just uncalled for, and I honestly don't understand the level of aggression on Maddox's part that was asserted in that conversation.
Yeah, and part of it is like he's on a roll. You know, he's got all these. You know, he's getting all these accolades. And he's been really tough on the evolutionists, and he's like got all this bravado, which has been increasing, and definitely been increasing over the last few months. You know, since the more subscribers he gets, the worse he gets, and he's frightening. I mean, he makes Raging Atheist look like one of my little baby raccoons, you know, or like a Barbie doll.
Yeah, the thing is that one thing to take away from Maddox himself is that Maddox appears to be an egotist.
Yeah.
And so it only seems that Maddox is interested not just like with the arguments that he makes, but in professing his knowledge, in professing what he knows.
Yeah. And what his opinion is of the paper. You know. Right. You know, it's too bad he went through this whole, you know, transformation with his brain injury. And he came out and he had basically an experience, and now he's going kind of downward into this narcissistic funnel, you know, and he's I don't know. How can you be so wrong and think you're so right?
Well, and the thing is you know, maybe I'll talk about this I'll talk about it off air.
Oh, you want to go off air?
Yeah, but this has been fun. We'll do this some other time, and this has been interesting.
Okay, I'll try to link in the description. I will try to link as many papers and pieces as we talked about, and I'll try to get that done tomorrow morning. I know I did a hangout the other day, and I did not do my link work because with Cell, it would have involved an hour or so, and I haven't had the time. But I will try to be better. It's Walking Fish. Walking Fish had a comment, and I missed it. Damn it. So Walking Fish, but these atoms were condensed from energy. So I can't remember what context on. I wasn't paying attention to the chat. I'm sorry. Anyway, we'll end this right here. So anyway, I think I don't know. I think, like I say, Saturday Night at the Atheist or Friday Night at the Atheist is for venting about some of these guys, because if I don't vent, I'm going to explode.
Oh yeah,
and they certainly don't cut us any slack if you listen to their hangouts. So anyway, okay, we're going offline.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye all. And bro.